My name's Piero Draculea. This is my weekly art and illustration recap video. I'll do a little bit of sketching, doodling at the end of it as well. So I'm going to be talking about some, not all, we'll get into why, but some of the art and illustration that I have done this week. So first up, I just need to adjust my document camera here. So I ended up doing some new thumbnails for streams. This being the first one for Thanksgiving in Ratsville. So, excuse me. So yeah, there's Ricky's head. He's got the, I think it's called a wattle or whatever, the thing that hangs down under a turkey's head. Of course, as I was drawing it, I'm like, it looks so much like that episode of South Park where the kids put prosthetic balls on Butters' chin in order to get onto Maury Povich to, win a prize or something like that. Anyways, but we have the turkey feathers in the background, the turkey leg. Ricky looks confused, like, huh? So that was the first of the thumbnails I did. And the next one is going to be a Noah's Archipelago one. In fact, I think I've got a couple Noah. Well, I know I have a couple Noah ones, but anyways, the allotness of Noah Thorson. I had talked about a short story I'm working on, which is a parody of a puff piece that the Atlantic did a few years ago for Bono. And that was called, I think, something like The Too Muchness of Bono or whatever. So I was calling it The Allotness. And there's Noah. He's standing. The Atlantic piece had like a photo of Bono from when he was young. He's doing the hand on the, hand on the chest looking off to the side. So I kind of spoofed that pose. I just realized I forgot to draw in Noah's chest here. Well, I've got liner pens off to the side here. Let me find a thin one. There we go. And he is standing in front of a fountain that is and the BC legislature building. So that's the fountain in front. I just found some old photos. And there is something in the piece where, because they talked something about Bono getting ill at some like bureaucratic, one of those, politics and celebrity political complex type of dinners. You know what I'm talking about. The Bono goes to that kind of shit. But I think there was a mention somewhere in the Atlantic about Bono getting sick at one. So there is actually the legislative dining room in Victoria, BC, and the BC legislature is open to the public. So as part of the spoof, I have it where Noah pukes. Oh, I think the Bono thing was he was having dinner with George Bush or something, and I was thinking of, there was that famous incident where George Bush Sr. was at the diplomatic dinner and he got food poisoning. He like stuck his head under and like barfed under the table. So my version of that for Noah in the story is he did that at the legislative dining room. So anyways, there was that one done. The first one, Ricky, oh no, that's done with liner pens too. I had thought Ricky was done with a dip pen, but that's these guys, the Staedtler pigment liners. Noah is done with the Staedtler pigment liners. And then the next one is Zamo. Zamo the Destroyer, very simple. There's Zamo sitting on a cushion with a little sword and cherries and strawberries. Zamo, I think, probably likes strawberries more than cherries, but Zamo will take cherries. Zamo will eat them right off the tree. So we have that one as well. And then we go back to, excuse me. And then we go right back to to Noah for this one. Let me just pull over. And Noah here, this is for Noah Thorson's Book of Days, which is the book project I'm doing. It had started out as a 2027 calendar, and it's in full color markers. But then halfway through, I was like, instead of doing like a calendar that's just good for 1 year, why don't I make it into a book? And I had the idea, I'd heard somewhere about like a book of days or whatnot. So I thought, we're going to do a book of days. And actually, I just finished this thumbnail this afternoon. So it kind of hits on, you got the apple pie and the turkey leg for Thanksgiving, got a balloon for summer, heart, Canada Day, America Day, New Year's fireworks, St. Patrick's Day, Easter, general noisemakers, Halloween, summer fun, parties. He's wearing a Santa costume. So I just edited this afternoon a video, quick overview. I mean, obviously the streams of doing the drawings are on my channel, but a quick all-in-one overview flip through of those pages and talking about the plans going forward. I've actually, this week I did have a chance to go through a couple of the different, there's different websites that list all these, National Peach Cobbler Day, Step in a Puddle and Splash Your Friend Day, those kind of things, right? And that's really up Noah's alley. That was one of the recurring gags I had when I was doing Noah as a webcomic, was to have little gags about that. So I've gone through, I've made a list. It's not complete yet, but I'm up to, I think, the summer solstice of listing out each day, and some days only have one, some days have like 10, observances on them. I'm not gonna go with all of them. Like some of the more like heavy, like the cancer ones. I mean, hey, I get cancer awareness is important. My mother died of stomach cancer like 15 years ago. I get it, that's important to raise awareness of, but it's also kind of a bummer. So, and then some of the more, ethnic specific observances, especially if they don't pertain to the main characters, I would feel weird about like writing about that, because if it's not my story, so we're going to stay away from that sort of stuff, and some more political ones. We're going more for silly. So especially on a day, if there's like 10 observances and 3 of them are goofy and 2 of them are serious, I'm probably not even gonna list the serious ones, especially because I know my audience, mostly American and Canadian, but I do have audience members everywhere. I don't know all, like I don't know what the holidays are in Japan, for example. I mostly know the Canadian ones, I know the American ones, and some of the British ones. So like we'll keep it light, basically. Light and goofy, the sort of thing that one could joke about, put it that way. But anyways, I'm about halfway through the year on my list. So that means actually next week we're going to start having videos again. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to be posting on Thursdays. And actually, I guess this leads into what I was going to talk about at the end is changes to streaming. So when I look at schedule impacts of being live 6 days a week at 7 p.m. and all that, it's kind of not working for me. I will keep this Saturday as a live stream, and I will keep the Friday, for now anyways, as a live stream when I'm inking Ricky B, the Rock and Roll Rat. I did not do my stream yesterday for Ricky. I was a little under the weather. I was like, I could start the stream, but would I have to end it really quick? So anyways, that's why there wasn't a stream last night. But the other 4 days of the week, I think what makes more sense is that I will do pre-recorded. So instead of having like a 2-hour block, I may be drawing for a 2-hour block, but I would just post, say, 1 page. So the videos will be shorter, they'll be pre-recorded. They'll kind of have a similar format. Well, actually, I've already recorded like 4 or 5 of them. They'll probably basically be the document camera looking straight down, so you just see my hands. You really don't need to see my face, especially because if I'm drawing, I'm like this, and you're just seeing the top of my head anyways. And that way also I can focus, because I do find when I'm streaming, like right now, I'm looking and I'm seeing like nobody's in the chat room right now, or at least nobody's typing, so that's fine. But the fact I don't want to ignore the chat, and it always seems that then I get really focused and suddenly I look up and there's like 3 text messages, and I don't know if the person's even still here or if they typed it and then it's like, oh, she's ignoring me, and it's like, no, I'm not ignoring you. I'm like, I don't have eyes on top of my head, right? So pre-recording eliminates that problem, obviously. So that's what we're going to do for the Monday through Thursday videos, at least through the summer. Maybe I'll see at the end of the summer how that's going, whether I want to shrink it down even further and maybe just do a Noah video, a Ricky video, and a Zamo video, because right now there's 2 Noahs, 2 Rickies, and then 1 Zamo, and then the recap. Or, I don't know. But I'll determine that at the end of the year. So that, of course, means, what did I just show you? I've done thumbnails for streams that after I finish the thumbnails, it's like, well, they're going to be pre-recorded, but this video or this thumbnail for Noah's Book of Days actually is the thumbnail for the Noah Book of Days Phase 1 project tour that's going live tomorrow. So it's not wasted, it's being used. And the other ones, I might use, the Zama one I may use as well at different times, especially say when it's time to do a book flip through when the Zama book is out. I may use this one. I don't know. If not, whatever. The allotness of Noah Thorson, because that is a short story that I'll be illustrating, there will be a number of illustrations for it. It may be entirely drawn off camera, so it may just be that I do a flip through of the finished drawings at the end, but then I would use this thumbnail for that, so it's not really wasted. And same with Thanksgiving in Ratsville. When I eventually have all the drawings done, I'll try and have that done in advance of Thanksgiving. I mean, Canadian Thanksgiving is in October, so we'll try and have all the drawings for that done when I can squeeze them in between now and then I would post a video tour of the drawings of Thanksgiving in Ratsville, and I would use that as the thumbnail. So it's not really wasted effort. But that was the first and kind of the main thing I did was working on those. So for pre-recording, I will just give a quick flash. That's the stack that I've inked so far. So I have 2 Monday videos recorded, 2 Tuesday videos recorded. So I have like the cast portraits of Noah and Ruth, but I'm going to show those on the recap of after the week that they've aired, right? So we won't show those right now. I know it's kind of out of order because I say this is the work I've done this week, but then anyways. And what else did I do? I'm just being sneaky over here. Oh, and yeah, that's it. So, and anyways, for the Thanksgiving in Ratsville, we won't be doing those ones on camera, as I kind of hinted at. I'll just put that where we can see it while I'm talking about it. And the reason for that is just I was doing them on stream because I'm like, oh, okay, I'll show my process, but I want the thing done in advance of Thanksgiving. So that means I'm doing it now in the summer, which of course it is July. I'm looking out my window. It's cloudy. It's been super windy today. I'm wearing a sweater. So it kind of feels more like getting close to Thanksgiving time, but it's not. So I realized it's kind of a little weird to be streaming out of sync, right? So what we're going to do on, this is part, let's see here. I got to figure out how to explain it in a way that makes the most sense. So Thanksgiving in Ratsville was a short story I wrote as part of a series that's going into a book that's going to be called A Year in Ratsville. Originally, when I wrote it, each month was going to have 2 stories. But then I realized the length of the stories and the actual page count, if you have a 5,000 word story, and some of them are 5,000 words, and you have 250 words per page, that means you have, it depends on your font and all this. Sometimes you can squeeze in 350, but generally speaking, the assumption is 250 words per page. That alone is going to make it like a 20-page story. And then I'm going to do illustrations, anywhere from 4 to 10 illustrations per story. And if they're each a page, then you start going, okay, so let's say 25. Let's ignore that. Let's assume that the story is shorter. And then there's fewer illustrations. Let's say 20 pages per story. If you have 24 stories, because 2 per month, and then you have an intro and an outro, suddenly you have like a 550-page book. I have held books that thick when they're like trade paperback size, which is 6 inches wide by 9 inches tall. They're uncomfortable in the hands. Like, if you've ever, I don't know, I know at least one of my regular viewers, Pavel, is very familiar with U2 stuff. If you've ever read U2 by U2 in the paperback form, it's horrible. It's a great book if you get the big coffee table one, the one that's like 18 inches by 18 inches or 14 by 14, whatever size. But the honkin' big paperback version, it's great. That book is, even when it's massive, it's like 2 inches thick. You translate that into trade paperback size. It's kind of shaped like this. It's like 4 inches thick or something, 3 inches thick, and then you're like trying to squeeze it. Anyways, I initially made the mistake of buying it in paperback, and it was miserable to try and read. It hurt my hand. It's like, here I am with my weak little hand, like T-Rex hands. I can't hold it. Anyways, I'm not going to do that to my readers. So it's like, okay, now we need to cut it in half. We're going to have 2 A Year in Ratsville books, okay? Or the first one will be called A Year in Ratsville, and I don't know what I'll call the second one, but it'll be the same idea, but a sequel. So that means I had 2 October stories. I had Thanksgiving in Ratsville, I had the Halloween one, and I decided, actually, for the first volume, I'm going to do the Halloween one. And I may change my mind on that. I'm going to be working on this book for another year. The stories are mostly, I think I have half the stories completely written and half like partially written. So, and then it's the illustrations. We'll be illustrating for a year on A Year in Ratsville. So, and it's going to start tomorrow, or not tomorrow. What day is it today? Today's Saturday. We're starting the day after tomorrow. And then to keep it kind of seasonal, to match, so we don't have Thanksgiving in July, because I realize that gets annoying. But we will then be illustrating stories from whatever story is assigned for that month. On those Mondays in that month, we will be illustrating scenes from it. I'll be illustrating more than I'll show on video, but each week I'll have a video that's got a scene from it. So for July, it's a story called Jeff versus Big Mike. And it's not the first short story I wrote involving Ricky. It's the second. The first one, I'd been doing little like comics with Ricky, going back to 2023. But the first like actual story I wrote involving Ricky, that was like a short story, is actually Ricky B Goes to Sea, which is what we work on the Friday night stream. But I think the second one was Jeff versus Big Mike. So there's only 3 Mondays left in this July, so I have filmed 2 of those. So the one tomorrow, I think that video's, or I keep saying tomorrow, it's not tomorrow, it's the day after tomorrow. Although I guess what I usually do with these live streams is I save them as private, so YouTube can do its video wizardry, processing, whatever, and then the next afternoon when I see that the processing is done, then I make it public. So maybe you're watching this and it is tomorrow. But if you're watching it live, it's in 2 days. If you're watching it at some point in the future, I don't know, like go on my channel and search Jeff and you'll find it. But anyways, I have 2 scenes from that story that have already been filmed that will be uploaded. And then there will be a third one that I will also film and upload. They're going to be out of order. Like the first one that's getting posted is kind of the second of the scenes in the chronology of the story, but whatever. And then in August, it'll be the story that goes with August is Ratlin Day Long Weekend. So we will have, I think there's 5 Mondays in August, maybe. Anyways, we'll have each Monday there will be a video, but it'll be pre-recorded and it'll go up there. And that also then, like the one that's coming up first is an hour and a half long, but that I talk a lot about it in there. So that's one of the reasons why. Other ones, if I don't talk so much or it's a quicker drawing, or if there's just a segment where I'm drawing but I'm not talking, then I will speed that up and only have it at normal speed when I'm talking. That might also make it easier for people to watch as opposed to like looking on the replay of a live stream going, oh my God, it's 2.5 hours. I don't have time for this shit, you know? So anyways, that's what's going to be happening moving forward. We're doing something similar on the Tuesdays with Noah. So the next 2 cast portraits, they have been done. They have been filmed. One will be posted this coming Tuesday, and that's the portrait of Ruth in her classroom. And the portrait of Noah will be the week after. And then after that, I have a couple ideas about projects with Noah, so I haven't decided exactly whether I'm going to start doing illustrations for that Atlantic spoof and filming them, or whether I'm going to start on a Noah graphic novel or whatever. On Wednesdays, we will be, again, same idea, pre-recorded, one drawing, and it'll be Zamo illustrations from the World According to Zamo, kind of until we get through all the illustration lists. So that actually is going to be a while because I think there's like 30 odd illustrations and we've only done like 10. So one a week, you know. We'll be posting Zamo the Destroyer illustrations. Well, anyways, blah, blah, blah. That particular Zamo the Destroyer will be going on for months. And then on Thursday, we are starting back with the Book of Days. And what I'm going to do, there will be a whole bunch of illustrations. Not every day, not every observance is going to get an illustration, but some of them will. And because I'm posting the videos on Thursdays, I'm going to just go whatever day the video is due to be posted. What's an observance for that day? Pick that, pick one, illustrate it. That's the video. So it'll only be things on the Thursday because that's when I post it, but we will keep running with that for a year, you know, and in the background off camera, I will be illustrating other stuff. So next summer, that book should be done, which means it'll be hopefully available for sale next fall, in the fall of 2027. Same with A Year in Ratsville. So that's what's going on with the streaming schedule and the non-streaming video upload schedule. But that's not all the work I did, because after all, this week I did have some live streams. So let's go back to that Ricky one. The first was we were working on the Thanksgiving in Ratsville. So this drawing, I think, let me pull up the camera. Kind of like with the main Ricky B. the Rock and Roll Rat streams, where I have the ads slipping in, the intrusive ads. I decided it would be fun. There's not very many, but there are a handful of ads in the Thanksgiving Ratsville story. I might kind of make that a signature with the Ratsville stuff. We'll see. Definitely for some stuff we will. So Baby is dragging Ricky to Home Rat. So I made an ad for Home Rat. Useless crap for less. I may kind of box this out because I feel like, I wanted to do a plaid tablecloth because that's a very fall, like obviously the story's set around um, just before Thanksgiving and it has to do with shopping for Thanksgiving, decor and whatnot. So it makes sense to kind of do like their fall, um, a fall display. You've got a candle, you got a mirror, which obviously that's not really fall, but you know, you got a little turkey statuette, a leaf-shaped dish with a egg-shaped candle. We got a pumpkin. If the Home Rad is kind of a spoof on store I frequent far too much called Home Sense, which is the Canadian version of Home Goods. I think in the UK they also call it Home Sense, but that's a TJ Maxx company, right? So, and what do they have every freaking year in the fall? Plaid tablecloths. First, it's like the orange and brown and olive green ones for fall, and then you get the red and green ones for Christmas. Um, they're already getting this stuff. This stuff is already starting to come in along with Halloween decorations. So I wanted to have that plaid thing, but I do think because it's dark, it kind of you lose the lettering. So I may Photoshop where that gets cut off, and then or yeah, I may kind of crop the photo here and I could put useless crap for less up there. I haven't decided. Or I could cut it there and then make useless crap for less bigger as like it goes right across the thing, but there'll be some Photoshop involved. Um, I'm surprised actually my dad hasn't commented on this because he hates Home Sense. Absolutely hates it. And the useless crap for less, I think he would laugh his ass off if he saw that. This was on the table at some point this week when he happened to pop in, but I don't think he noticed that it at all. Or if he did, he was like, I'm not taking the bait. I'm not commenting on that. And now we'll bring this back down. So part of the story was, so Baby has been shopping at the Home Rat and collecting crap for hi Jimbo. Jimbo says we don't say plaid, it's tartan. I always thought tartan was when it's like a specific tartan, like one that's like, say, the Campbell tartan or the McDonald tartan. And I thought if it was just like a random, decorative that isn't supposed to be a specific clan, that it was plaid, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong, actually. Here, at least, like, and I don't even know if what I'm going to say is general for Canada, but like my mom's mother's family is Scottish, Northern Irish extraction, and whatnot, and she was always very much into like the Highland stuff and whatnot, and that was always a distinction that my mom's mom had, that tartan would mean it was like the MacLeod clan tartan or the Hunter clan tartan, or like here in Canada, every province has a tartan that is designed and it has meaning to it and whatnot. And that's the tartan for Canada or the tartan for Nova Scotia or whatnot. But if it was just like something that's kind of a, I don't want to say knockoff, but you know what I mean, like a general non-specific, then it was called plaid. But like I said, that could just be a quirk of my family. So yeah, I could be totally wrong in what I'm in calling it plaid for sure. Anyways, welcome to the stream, Jimbo. So then the first of the drawings of Baby and Ricky is Baby has been collecting all these houseware stuff with her babysitting money going back to 8th grade, right, for her future house. And it's kind of a ritual that she will insist on she will drag Ricky shopping, and they'll buy whatever crap, and then they go and Baby takes a photo of it for her database. No one here says plaid. Where are you, Jimbo? Like, where is here? Anyways, Baby will catalog this stuff so she knows exactly what she has for the house, and then it goes into the storage unit. So here's Ricky and Baby looking at the storage unit. It is absolutely packed to the gills with all sorts of stuff. Kitchen box number 42. Vases, board games, Christmas cutlery, St. Patty's Day, living room candy dishes, scented candles. She has a lot of scented candles, many boxes. Curtains number 4. So there's Ricky. She's going, ta-da! And Ricky's scratching his head going, we got too much stuff. Ricky is right, of course. That's one I showed previously. Baby dragging Ricky shopping by the tail. I had thought I might redraw this, but I kind of like it. Baby's head's too big, but that's a pretty easy fix. Yeah. Oh, and the capital of Scotland. Okay. So I guess we say plaid over here in the former colonies because we don't know what we're talking about. Fair enough. In Scotland, it's properly tartan. So anyways, this drawing, I think I will keep it. I'll just Photoshop Baby's head to be more in proportion. And then the other drawing was part of that I ended on was Baby is going, and one of the things she wants to get at the HomeSense store is cheese forks, and they have to be specific to Thanksgiving with turkeys on the top. Ricky has pointed out that they already have cheese forks that they bought a while back, and she's like, oh, those are St. Patrick's Day cheese forks with shamrocks. We can't use them at Thanksgiving. So, and Ricky doesn't dare point out that why don't we just have one nice fancy non-specific pair or set of cheese forks? That ain't gonna fly. And Ricky has learned not to fight with Baby. So that is what we did on the stream on Monday night. And then on Tuesday, let me switch back to Noah's Archipelago. Tuesday we wrapped up with some more of the cast portraits. So the first one was Noah's second son, Duke, and a portrait of him. He's out in the woods somewhere with his binoculars looking for game. And then we have Gigi, who is Adam's mother. Adam is Noah's eldest son. And basically, Adam was kind of a boo-boo. They got knocked up in high school. So that marriage didn't last and whatnot. But Gigi owns a diner as well as a catering business. And Noah and his family do hang out there a lot because obviously Adam hangs out there as well. So we've got Ursula reading a menu, which is kind of a goof because she's just going to order a burger anyways and French fries and the extra ketchup. But, you know, I guess she's at that age where it's like, it's sophisticated to read a menu and whatnot. So she's doing that and Gigi's waiting to take the order. And then Gigi's man, Glenn, is basically is Adam's stepdad, but Glenn and Noah have known each other since middle school. Glenn used to stuff Noah into lockers. They eventually kind of became friends, frenemies, kind of whatever. In fact, they were bandmates back in the day. So we have Glenn, and he's a big car guy. So we're at a show, one of his cars with the don't touch sign, and there's Ursula leaning up against it, sticking her face in. She can read the sign, but she just figures it's probably not applicable to her. So that was that for the cast portraits. And then we have some Zamo stuff. Let me bring up my little Zamo thing. So Zamo, first off, for the Zamo book, I was thinking, because I've got to have the about the author page and portrait and all that, and I thought it's better to do a cartoon. I'll probably put a proper cartoon of myself, but I thought it would be funny to have if Zamo drew a cartoon of the cartoonist. I'll bring that up even more. And the cartoonist, aka technical support monkey, because later on when I was doing Zamo as a podcast, then Zamo was referring to technical support monkey who would take the recording of the podcast and upload it for Zamo. So Zamo is, of course, is of the opinion that humans are chimpanzees because we share 98% of our DNA with chimps. Zamo will insist that iguanas are 98% T-Rex, but whatever. So there's Zamo's thing. Feces for flinging, because of course all monkeys do that, and Zamo thinks humans do the same. Girl chimps wear bows. Pointing at the mouth, making chimp noises. Mammal bits. Bananas. Chimps love bananas, and I've got the one foot up holding the paper with my foot. So there we have a very crude drawing of the cartoonist as drawn by Zamo. And it harkens back. There's at least one drawing, one comic in the Zamo, the Destroyer Omnibus, wherein Zamo is Zamo goes to life drawing class with the pet human Georgie, and Georgie says to Zamo, just draw what you see. So Zamo kind of draws this, only instead of the handful of feces for flinging, the model is like smashing a banana into her head. So it kind of will fit with that. And then, now we got to bring the camera back down. So then we had some drawings from Zamo World, or the world according to Zamo. One of them that I had skipped the week before, just because of the geometry of the paper and this being full of wet ink, because I didn't really think plan it appropriately. But Zamo claims, I'm very famous, you know. Well, as far as iguanas are concerned, humans aren't cool enough to know who I am. So there's Zamo acting all cool with the, the little pimp fur coat and the sunglasses, saying, sorry, no autographs. And these are other iguanas reaching out their hands trying to get the autographs. We saw that one before. And then we had a couple more illustrations. Let me bring this down. Trying to not have the document camera flip over because it's a little lopsided. Actually, this is the one that goes first. Zamo is an anthropologist, but Zamo is lazy. I don't know if anybody's familiar with iguanas. They nap a lot. They are not exactly known for work ethic. So Zamo's way of doing anthropological research is to watch TV, and it's daytime TV because iguanas are daytime animals. So Zamo's watching some soap opera and taking notes about this is how humans behave. And then there's reference to Zamo having been sentenced to 100 hours of community service. This was for trying to set the mall Santa on fire. When Iggy didn't get what Iggy wanted the next year, Iggy went looking for revenge. Anyway, so the judge, I hereby sentence you to 50 hours community service. And I was like, what? Up yours. Make it 100 hours. So Zamo was all pissed about that. And then we have, and then Zamo starts explaining the whole point of it was to explain how the universe was created, like the world according to Zamo, the whole history of the world. And that includes, for example, the history of the universe and the Big Bang and whatnot, which Zamo says God made the Big Bang because God was bored, because there wasn't TV yet. And then Zamo talked about the planets congealing out of goo and, and mentioning that, oh, there's this place Pluto, but, who cares about Pluto? It's so far away and it's freezing cold. Nobody would want to go there. Well, maybe the Swedes. So maybe they've put an IKEA on Pluto. So here's Pluto. I used a reference photo from Wikipedia, and there's an IKEA on Pluto. And there is a Viking ship full of flat packs going to restock the IKEA on Pluto. I don't know how profitable that would be, but, that's the idea. And then the last drawing I got done was Zamo talking about T-Rex stomping on our mammal ancestors. So there's a little caveman dude with a banana, of course. and a tail and mouse ears, but no whiskers though. And there's the big T-Rex foot about to go splat. So that was the world according to Zamo. And now we got to go back to Noah's Archipelago. So we wrapped up Noah's jobs for the A to Z of Noah's job history. Let me bring this back up and we will again hit the focus button. So the whole point of this book is it is a coloring book, but also Noah is there's a little story with it. So Ursula has asked Noah about his job history. It's for a homework assignment about ask your parents about their jobs and then decide if one of those jobs is one that you would like to do. Well, it turns out Noah's had a whole bunch of jobs, A to Z. In fact, I have enough jobs listed that we will probably have a sequel for this book in a couple years. But there he is, quality control. And this is actually at a chocolate factory or a candy factory. It doesn't really show so well here, but his cheeks are all puffed out because he's like, he's chewing on something. He's got his clipboard, and then we've got, basically this is what he's filling out here, pass, fail, taste notes, his name bag, his hair. It's not a hair net, but it's like, almost looks like a shower cap that they wear in like food factories, and gloves and lab coat. Rare example of him wearing a t-shirt, which he kind of had to do because, work. But anyways, so that is the quality control, the only job of his that Ursula is the least bit interested in taking on. And then we have Koi Fish Wrangler. I was going to... Sorry, I've been talking all day, so starting to get that scratchy throat. I had the idea of him working in like a pond shop or something and having to try and net out these koi, but they all like leap out of the water to attack him. Koi, apparently, even when they're aggressive, my understanding is it just tickles if they try and bite. But, I guess if you got a whole bunch of them on you, and this is Noah based on the haircut when he was in his 20s. So we have the koi fish all attacking Noah. And that is it in terms of the streams and whatnot. I'm going to switch now to document camera. Now, this is a new sketchbook. I like doing stuff like this on the covers of my sketchbooks when they're brand new. It does make things a pain in the ass when you're wanting to stack them, for sure, but I can tell at a glance which book is which based on the cover. So this one, in fact, I think it was last week on this stream where I was drawing Baby and realized, like, I have in my head what she's supposed to look like, but I haven't actually drawn her specifically enough to kind of have her, have the muscle memory to really bang out quick, dirty, loose sketches, sure, but not like when I was trying to do her, showing off her Stars and Stripes manicure, it wasn't working. So anyways, I thought, well, and also I have some other female characters that I tend to not draw as much and could stand to do a little practicing with. So I thought, well, why don't we make a really girly sketchbook? I happen to have this pink one kicking around. So we've got a few things. The roses bunch was actually like a thank you card that came in a pair of shoes that I had ordered. So, the thank you for your order type of thing. We've got some rhinestones. We've got some like random glitter and sequins and stuff in there. We've got this kind of swirling rhinestone sticker. This is some like lace trim, and I didn't have enough of it to really do anything with, because aside from the 4 pieces that are here, I just have like another 6 inches left. I may have had this that I already used some on like an art quilt years ago or something, or it may have been like I don't know where the hell I got it. But I thought, well, that's kind of just the right amount for here. The color on top. Now what I've done I'm going to bring this down to try and make it clear. This is a non-heavy gel matte. It's like a golden or Liquitex. I think it's golden. But it holds the texture. And what I like with the matte version is that it does cure and it's not, I want to say sticky, but I've done this before where it was like a glossy high gel. And like even I have ones that I did it and years later, like seriously, like I'm talking where I did something like this on the cover in like during the lockdowns. So like 6 years ago. And you touch it and like it's dry, it's cured. But if you put something plastic on top, it would kind of like, you know, like it's weird. I don't know, man, it's weird. But the matte doesn't do that. So even though it's kind of, and this isn't fully cured because like that's still a little bit translucent, not fully clear. Like in a month or so, it'll be fully clear. So anyways, I like using the matte. So I used it as the glue underneath that, and then I apply it with a painting knife. You get a little bit of texture. And then the color on top is actually acrylic ink because, after all, I'm using acrylic media. Some of the, and I didn't think to put it down first, so, but it's kind of neat. It kind of ran, when it was still liquid, I was like tilting the book and whatnot so that it ran around and whatnot. Kind of covers up the dinosaur sticker that's down there. But anyways, I happened to do this on a day that was like 30 degrees outside and just left it on my patio for 6 hours or whatnot. And it's like, okay, I think it's cured enough. Which is the other thing. I swear the matte stuff dries faster. Maybe that's just my imagination. I don't know. So I got that book ready. We do have, I think, and then the other thing I always do when I'm setting up a new sketchbook is I have like a whole drawer full of like random stickers and stuff. So I go through it, I put them on random pages just because then there's something there to bounce off of. Like for example, in this drawing, and it's just a pen drawing, so it's kind of narrow, but we have the crown sticker. And obviously this is super loose as well, but we have Baby and Ursula looking at it. Baby wants to be Miss Ratsville someday. That's her huge dream. So she's looking at the crown and she's imagining somebody saying, and now presenting your new Miss Ratsville, Baby Ratson. And there she's getting crowned and she's crying and saying, finally. Whereas Ursula's imagining wearing the crown and saying, off with their heads, especially the gym teachers. So I think that's might have been like one other drawing that I got done. Sometimes with this stuff, I won't necessarily sometimes I work through it chronologically, like front to back, and sometimes I just bounce around with these books. It's kind of fun. There's the other one. She's wearing some sort of like, I was watching video on like 1800s women's fashion, so that's kind of like an 1860s evening dress, I think. I'm probably wrong about that. So yeah, and then, like I said, there's washi tape, there's all sorts of random stuff just so that you kind of don't get too much of that blank. And some pages have multiple stickers or whatnot. So that is a new sketchbook that, who knows, will probably be 2 years before we have the sketchbook tour. I don't know. Especially with this sort of stuff where it's like different, different sketchbooks with different themes. It takes quite a while to fill them up. So I am going to now, I did say in the video description I was going to do some sketching around the theme of summer fun. And let me just pull out, flip over to get to some. We're not going to stay too long. It's like I said, I wasn't feeling the greatest earlier this week and still kind of tired, so I'm going to be lazy, but I will do a few drawings. So well, let's see here, summer fun. It's kind of hard to be in the summer fun mentality when I look out and the sky is dark gray. But, that's the reality of summer on the West Coast. But what can we draw? Well, since I was saying I need to draw Baby more often, well, I'll get sort of a medium-sized one. And what could Baby do for summer fun? Let me just be sure that I am sort of focused. Well, her favorite hobby, of course, is shopping, but we won't make her we won't do that to Ricky this time. Just envisioning one of those like summer dresses that where the straps are ties. She's kind of wearing a summer dress or summer peplum top or whatnot. Set the vision of what I'm going to have her be doing. Ricky's in charge of holding the parasol. I don't know if this would count so much as summer fun, especially for Ricky, who's got to hold that thing up and his arm's going to get tired. But he gets to hang out with babies, so I guess for him that's a fair trade-off. You know, wherever they're going walking. Let's do something that's a little more summer fun. Also trying to think of things that I'm not just rehashing drawings I've already done on stream, because like could think of like Miles building a sandcastle, but that was Miles Morrow's Pursuit of Happiness stream like 2 months ago or something, a month or so ago, something like that. You know, there is of course the like sandcastle's kind of a classic. Why don't we draw Ricky's nephew Marvin making something akin to a sandcastle. You don't really see enough of Marvin, but he does turn up in some of the stories for A Year in Ratsville, like the Christmas in Ratsville story definitely has Marvin in it. He's a bit of a little hellion. Ricky often gets tasked with babysitting Marvin, which he doesn't mind. Yeah, he is a good uncle for sure. Also, Marvin's misbehavior always makes Ricky kind of chuckle. Like he knows he should correct some of it, but also it's like, reminds me when I was that age. Is Ricky wearing his black leather jacket to the beach? Yes, he is. Not wearing a shirt. Mind you, he rarely wears a shirt, but he will be wearing shorts at least. And, these are just brainstorming sketches, so we're being real squiggly with the line work. Marvin doesn't really know how to share. The whole beach is his. Yes, Ricky's wearing his his Vans to the beach. Kind of a pain in the ass when you get sand in them, but, kind of draw the waves coming in over there. Guess if they've got the beach mostly to themselves, because it's like a Wednesday afternoon or something. Let's draw some like logs. The beaches I grew up with in Vancouver always had, you know, driftwood logs and stuff on them. Some of them would be massive, massive logs. And then just people use them as benches or whatnot. So I think up in Parksville, which is like an hour or so, hour and 15, hour and 20 north of me, they do an annual sandcastle building contest. Now, it'll actually be like massive sand sculptures and, professional level sculptors making them, and then they stay on the beach for like a month. I actually have to look up how long it runs for because the last few years I've wanted to go and then I always kind of leave it too long and then suddenly it's like, oh, it was last week, you know, or this is the last weekend, and then I have stuff going on. I can't actually get up there, so I gotta check that out. What else is coming up here in on Vancouver Island? Souk Art, the Souk Fine Arts Show is going to be opening. I gotta see when they open, whether it's like next week or I think they're open for 2 weeks. So I'm gonna have to look up because I'll want to drive down and check that out as well. And I kind of have the beach kind of. We've got more something coming up there. So we got Ricky playing on the beach. And Ursula's summer fun. Well, it's kind of a running gag in Noah's Archipelago that Ursula doesn't really get the summer off because whenever she's home, she's always either wants to sit and watch cartoons all day, or she's like complaining that she's bored. So part of Noah's earnings every year, he sets aside to put her in to completely book her entire summer with like artsy like kids day camps and stuff like that. So he does do things that like she likes Lego and whatnot. So he'll put her in like Lego robotics camps and stuff like that. But she will still be complaining because she's a brat. So I guess I'm drawing her summer fun, is building stuff. I'm just gonna show kind of like a bucket or something that's got Lego pieces in it. At least you're not making us exercise unlike last week's gymnastics camp. Do maybe one or two more drawings and then we'll wrap it up for tonight. Now, the stereotypical stuff with Noah would be they'd be hanging out in the pool, but I've done tons of those drawings. So that's something else he could be doing to be having fun in the summer. I don't know about fun. Fun for Noah, not so much for Ursula. I know that's not how lemonade is spelled, but Ursula hates spelling and refuses to do it properly. And I also know that even with inflation, it's not actually $20, but Ursula is wanting to get her money and get out with one sucker, basically. I'm envisioning this would be like the little cash box. A rare sighting of her ears. She does have them. Let's assume Noah's got his pool floaty. He's headed to Agnes's pool, which is part of the same property, but uh, figured he would come check on how business was doing. He's wearing a Speedo under that, but we'll assume he's got his towel with it with him as well. So there we have it. Ursula is trying to sell a luxury lemonade stand, $20 a glass. Noah says, "No, honey, you got price low and make money on the volume of sales. Tell you what, you sound business minded. How about I sell you this lemonade stand for $100? That's not how this works." Sure, it is. And actually, she's kind of right. That's how a lot of companies make. That's how a lot of startups, if they have a good idea and a good location and whatnot, I've definitely heard where the business was maybe not doing so good, but was able to sell the concept or the list or whatever. I mean, I'm sure you sell it for more if you're actually making profit, but you know, if they're in a well-to-do neighborhood, it is actually entirely plausible that they would find some suckers willing to pay $20 a glass for a quote-unquote luxury lemonade stand. But the point is that Ursula just wants the money and she doesn't actually want to run her little business. So I don't think Noah's going to buy her out, though. And yeah, I really want to do another one. I'm just trying to think if I can think of an idea. Well, I guess to round things out, let's have a Zomo sketch. Because, of course, our iguana friend loves summer. But Zomo also likes complaining. So got the fat little belly, well-fed iguana. And again, we're doing this super quick. We got tail stripes. Can't forget the dewlap. Gotta have the dewlap on an iguana. Just trying to think of shaking the little fist on the other side. So let's have a quick flip through of the brainstorming. Not really brainstorming, but the quick and loose sketches we've done on the fly here at the end of the stream. Yeah, so the first one, the theme being summer fun. The first one, Ricky and Baby are going for a walk. She's under a parasol and Ricky's the one having to hold this thing up. And then we've got, let's flip this over. And then we've got Ricky at the beach with his little nephew Marvin, who's using little buckets to make sand towers or whatever. Marvin's saying it's his beach, so Ricky is not allowed to try and make a sandcastle. And then Noah's Archipelago. Ursula, being a brat, she's been put into a whole bunch of summer day camps to keep her occupied so she doesn't get too bored. And she's sulking that she could be home watching cartoons. But at least they're not, this is a Lego camp, so they're not making her exercise, unlike gymnastics class. We've got the lemonade stand. She's selling luxury lemonade for $20 a glass. Noah's explained to her that no, you got to price low and make your money on the volume of sales, and she's not into that. But she offers to sell the business with the location to her father for a mere $100. And he insists that's not how it works. And then Zelmo, being an iguana and liking hot weather, bitching about 21, which is the temperature it is where I live. Normally I mean, in July we can sometimes have like 3 weeks of 30 plus, you know. Usually the worst of it, like I've had like 38-degree weather. Usually you only get a couple days of that. But it might be like 30 plus for a week or more and maybe dip into the 20s and then another week of 30 plus. So we've had summers like that since I moved here in 2017. But this ain't one of those summers. So far anyways. Who knows what's coming next week. But anyways, so that is, let me just switch to, I think so. That is going to be it for tonight's recap stream. Like I said, we are having some changes. Now I just took my glasses off. Now I need to put them back on so I can see what I'm looking for. We're going to have some changes in the schedule moving forward. So the only 2 live streams next week will be Friday for inking Ricky B. the Rock and Roll Rat, and then this recap stream on Saturday. We will still have videos for the other 4, you know, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but they are going to be pre-recorded and they'll be shorter. And I think that'll work with my schedule a little better. It also means that since I'm pre-recording, the videos I think are all going to be scheduled to go live at like 7 in the morning. And tomorrow morning we have, normally I don't post anything on Sundays, but I do have a little show and tell video, which is a flip through of all 12 of the Noah's Book of Days monthly illustrations. I've done them on stream. Those streams are available, but I figure if someone wants to just see the whole of that little body of work in one go, that will be up tomorrow morning at 7 for anyone who's just tuning in now. If you want to watch the replay, when I go off, I'm going to save it as private, but when it's done processing the video sometime tomorrow afternoon, it'll be public again. And I will just throw that in. If you're a fan of the art I do subscribe. That would be awesome. And give it a like, etc. I've got plenty of videos on the channel, live and pre-recorded. And there's my little thank you for watching. And I do hope you've enjoyed this stream. And what I will leave you guys with is just my live drawing with Pyrrha thing. This will be more for the replay. I don't think, yeah, it doesn't let me. It'll have the like the little outro blurb, but it doesn't let me really link to anything in it when I'm live. So anyways, we will see you again real soon. Bye for now.